welcome back to my channel Aetherea. If you're new here, my name is Dina and I'm here to help you and guide you to make your own beautiful whimsical wardrobe. This is part 2 of my corset making journey, and I'm finally gonna get to work with the final fabric. So for the corset I actually used 3 different fabrics. One is this beautiful sheer glittery fabric, because it's my birthday corset actually, and I really wanted to sparkle on my birthday, so I choose this. Then obviously it's very see-through and I don't want people see everything. I use this cotton cloth as my base, which also holds up the whole structure of my corset. And for the lining I use this 100% cotton fabric, because I just don't want to have any type of polyester on my skin. I am a sweaty person, so I don't want to stink on my own birthday, and I just don't like the nylon feeling. I genuinely do not. So this video is more again of a technical overview rather than a tutorial, because out of respect to the author of the corset making book, she already probably tons of effort in creating this book and also writing the instruction on how to draft the pattern, and if I show you everything then she will probably have a loss of no one buying her book, because I put everything out there and I just don't want to do this. I really can recommend only getting this book. It's super good, and yeah, let's go into the video. From part 1 I have adjusted my pattern length on Illustrator and printed the corset pattern out again. Like in part 1, I used the same technique here. With the corset I wanted to be super precise, and to do that I used wax paper to trace my pattern pieces. I sandwiched the fabric between 2 layers of my wax paper, one underneath and one on top, then used my tracing wheel to trace along the sides of the pattern lines as well as the cutting line. This step is then repeated on all the rest of the fabrics. For the sake of the length of this video, I did not record it. Once I traced all the corset pieces, it was time to cut them. Unfortunately, I lost the footage where I layered the cotton twill under the outer glittery fabric and hand basted the pieces together. This step is really important to make sure everything stays in place, especially when taking the pieces to the sewing machine. For the waist, I followed the line using a running stitch. To give the corset more structure, I cut the pattern pieces again on fusible interlining. I again did everything the same as I did at the beginning of the video, including the sandwiching method with wax paper. After securing the cotton twill to the glittery fabric and stitching them together, I went ahead and removed the basting stitches that I've done by hand. Then I added the fusible interlining to each corset piece and ironed them in place. Now that all of my pieces had the fusible interlining ironed on, I measured and cut the cotton twill tape to match the length of my marked boning channels. Then I pinned them in place and hand stitched them down before bringing everything to the sewing machine. I honestly think the corset turned out so well because I took the time to make sure everything was perfectly aligned. These extra steps are worth it, and honestly, it is therapeutical to hand stitch everything by hand. Once I removed all the basting stitches, it was finally time to assemble the corset. I started with the center front piece, carefully aligning all the markings to make sure everything matched up perfectly before sewing them together on my sewing machine. As you can see, I always pin 2 panels together first, then gradually assemble the whole corset. This ensures that my work was neat and as precise as possible. Once the sides were all sewn together, I pinned the front panel to the front side panel. This part can be a bit tricky since it includes curves, so I took my time here to make sure the pieces match up super smoothly. Once I press the seams open, I then start cutting the cotton twill tape again for the side seams. I then pin them and sew them in place. Okay, so this is probably the hardest part of this whole project, and it was cutting the steel burning for the front and the back panels. As you can see and probably tell, I really struggled with it. If anyone has an advice or knows any easy way to cut steel boning, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your suggestions because this is not my last corset to make, and really it took the fun out of it. Cutting the boning was just Anyway, so once I managed to finally cut all the pieces, I used my nail file to smooth out the edges. This just ensures that I would actually not end up getting stabbed like a shish kebab. To really make sure I actually don't get stabbed, I rub the ends of the boning with masking tape. So far I can confirm I haven't been poked yet, and I wore this corset already a couple of times. Future me here. So in the beginning I actually added plastic boning, and as you can see on this picture, which was on my actual birthday, the plastic boning melted to my body form. So here is yeah, I think that explains everything. Because it melted to my body, it created this crease. So use the proper steel boning, because otherwise you're gonna end up like me on my picture and the type of shape, which I don't think anyone wants. But yeah, this is the lesson that I've learned from it. I've learned actually quite a lot of lesson with making this corset, but let's go back into the video. Once the steel boning was inserted into its casing, I moved on to punching the guide holes both on the main corset and later on the lining. For the lining, I followed the exact same steps as I did for the main corset structure, except I skipped the fusible interlining and didn't add any cotton twill tape for the boning channel. Though the only place I did use the cotton twill tape was along the waistline. This just reinforces that area and help it hold its shape over time. I hand stitched the tape in place first to make sure everything stayed aligned, and then secured it with my sewing machine. To attach the lining to the main corset, I placed both pieces right sides together and pinned them along the side seams only. Then I sewed the sides on the machine. Be careful during this step, make sure your needle doesn't hit the steel boning. The next step was to punch the holes at the back for the lacing. This is where the ribbon will go. I used a hole punch to ensure the holes were nice and clean, and after that I inserted the metal eyelets to reinforce the holes and give the lacing a sturdy finish. The final step was to finish the open seams along the edges by adding bias tape. I started by pinning the bias tape in place, and then I hand stitched everything together for extra clean look. Using a sewing machine here would have not given me that invisible stitch I wanted. And here we have the final corset. I decided to separate the skirt from the corset because I wanted to be able to wear it more often, especially paired with the black trousers for a chic evening look. I'm really happy how it turned out, especially since this is my very first attempt at making a corset. I enjoyed every step of the process. It's definitely tiring, but totally worth it. I hope you enjoyed watching me make this corset. If you're interested in more sewing projects, tutorials and inspiration, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos.